Are you in debt and you absolutely have got to get out of it as soon as possible in the most efficient and effective way? Well, this is the video for you. I'm going to share with you the most efficient and effective ways to get out of debt, show you the strategies that are the best that I have come across as a financial planner for the last 20 years. These are the things that I've done to help my clients get out of debt as effectively and efficiently as possible. My name is Paris Clough, and this is Financial Self-Reliance. I absolutely love helping people manage, protect, and grow their money. And in this video, we're going to talk about ways that you can reduce, eliminate, and manage your debts. So let's get started. I have a 7-step process that I teach people from step 1 to step 7, how to turn their income into wealth and make sure that they're on track for their financial goals and dreams. This is step 4 in that 7-step process. So if you'd like to learn steps 1, 2, and 3, or 5, 6, 7, 8, subscribe to the channel so that you can make sure that you're there and available when I put the rest of the videos out. But steps 1, 2, and 3 are already on the channel, so go ahead and do a search for those. So reduce, eliminate, and manage your debt. So most of you are saying, well, I want to eliminate debt no matter what. No, well, some of the debt that you have, you want to reduce. Some of it you want to manage. There's actually some people that have gotten out of debt too fast and ended up putting themselves right back into a hardship because they weren't wise with their money. They didn't know how to manage it effectively. And this is going to be some of the things we're going to talk about in this video today are going to help you with that. So the first thing you want to understand when it comes to debt is you want to categorize your debt into good debt and bad debt. Good debt is investment loans, home loans, business loans, education loans, car loans if the car is worth more than the loan. Bad debt are credit cards, personal loans, payday loans, loans to loan sharks, by the way, are bad debts. Those are all the debts that you don't want to be involved in or want to eliminate. Where good debt, you can maintain it, manage it, reduce it over time. And as long as you're on a payment plan, you're going to be fine. And then we can work on building up your net worth, which is a great part of your overall financial plan. So having lots of debt can be a challenge, but if you have a lot of assets, then it ends up balancing out. So let's make sure that we reduce, eliminate, and manage the debt we have while we build our assets so that our net worth ends up being a positive number. Car loans can be a bad debt too, by the way, if you owe more than the car is worth. So bad car loans is in the middle here on this particular screen so that you can see that they could either be good or bad depending on what the value of the car is based on the loan that you have. So good debt is secured debt. It's secured against an asset. For example, a great example of that is a home mortgage. So your home or the house is the asset and can be sold and you can take the proceeds and then you can pay off the mortgage. The mortgage is the debt or the liability that you have there. So that's where a car can be a good debt, is because if the car is worth more than the loan, then you can sell the car. If you need to, you can liquidate the car, pay off the debt, and you can be hopefully cash positive. So anything that would have an asset that you can sell that then would pay off the loan or the debt that you have on that asset is a good debt. And I would consider educational loans in there because the amount of money that you spend to get a good education gives you the ability to be a higher income earner. Those who graduate from college earn significantly more than those that don't. And so education is critical and can be a critical and asset in your portfolio because you have the skills, the knowledge, and the ability to go earn more money and be more valuable to the marketplace. All right, so let's take a look at unsecured debt or bad debt. Bad debt is debt that you don't have anything to show for it. If you paid for it, it's credit cards that you went to the grocery store or to the department store. You bought a bunch of stuff. And you have nothing to show for it, and even if you did have anything to show for it, it's not going to be worth hardly anything if you sold it or resold it on one of the marketplaces or at a yard sale. How many of us have gone to a yard sale knowing that a particular item costs hundreds of dollars maybe at a store, but we want to barter with the guy for 50 or 75 bucks? Knowing that that's a fraction of the actual price. And that's what you're going to do if you buy these things and try to sell them later. It's just not a good thing to do with credit cards, especially if you know you have the cash to buy it. Go buy it on a credit card and then get the points, get the cash back, get whatever you've got, and then pay it off immediately. That's the best thing to do when it comes to credit cards. Now, if you haven't done that yet, stay tuned. We're going to get into the strategies to actually get out of debt. But this is important. It's important for you to know what debts you should focus in on and categorize those debts so that you're not overwhelmed. There's some debts you're going to manage and you're going to maintain, and there's others that we're going to actually focus in on, and we're going to get you out of debt as soon as possible. So how do you pay off the debt? There's four major ways to pay off debt, but we're going to get into that after we talk about this particular screen, which is you have to first list your debts and the details of those debts. So you want to know the balance that you owe, who you owe it to, and then the interest rate you're paying and the minimum payment that you're paying on that debt. So those are the key things to know. Contact your debtors, make sure that the information is accurate. If you get a statement from a traditional bank or traditional credit card, you're probably going to be very accurate with the most recent statement. If you owe money to somebody or to a business, your mechanic, your friend, you're going to want to contact them and say, hey, look, I just want to make sure that I have the numbers right here. How much do I owe you? What are you charging me? What's the minimum monthly payment you'll take? Let's set up a payment plan. Let's get me out of debt as soon as possible with you. Or you're looking to get out of debt and you want to make sure that you get the numbers right, so that when you pick the strategy, what we're going to talk about here in a minute, that you're going to be able to tell that person, the debtor, that you're going to get them their money as soon as possible. So this final phase here, this third step here, is to choose a strategy and then begin. So let's take a look at the strategies. The first strategy is, financially speaking, monetarily speaking, it's the most, it makes the most sense. It's mathematically speaking, it's going to save you the most amount of money. And what it is you take, like I shared with you earlier, you've got to get all those debts listed out. So you take the debts with the highest interest rates and you pay those ones off first, so you're not paying so much interest. When you pay off a credit card or a loan that has a high interest rate and you pay that off first, now that all the interest that you're being charged is no longer happening. And so you're going to be able to take that money and then move it to the next debt and pay that off more quickly. Now, the big problem with the debt avalanche is that when you choose this strategy in the beginning, you might find that the debt with the most highest balance is also the debt with the highest interest rate. And so it could be disheartening to think that, oh my gosh, I got to pay off all that money because of the interest rate. Where if you would just start with maybe the debt snowball, which is where you pay off the smallest balance first. So regardless of what the interest rate is, the debt snowball is when you pay off the smallest balance first. So let's say you have 5 credit cards and one of them has $10,000 and it's 24%, and another one has $1,000 and it's 10%. I would say start with $1,000 credit card, because it's going to give you the ability to say you did it. It's going to give you that success, that psychological success right at the beginning. Number one. Number two is also going to free up the amount of the minimum payment that you were putting on that $1,000. Is going to free that up to be able to use towards the next one. So I would first, in my opinion, this is my opinion, I would start with the debt snowball. Pay off the smallest balances first. Give yourself those wins. Celebrate those wins. Actually celebrate. Actually go out and say, yes, I did it. I paid off a credit card. Go have an ice cream, something small, something easy, something simple, not too expensive, but go out and celebrate. Have something that you can say that you did it and have a little bit of a party about it in celebration. Then when you get to the point where, and this is going to happen probably, most people, it happens anyways, that if you get to the point where you have a couple of credit cards and they're about the same balance, now you switch back to, in my opinion, you switch back to the debt avalanche and you pay the one off with the highest interest rate when you get to the point where the balances are about the same on the debts that you have. When the balances are the same, switch to the debt avalanche and pay off the one with the highest interest rate. All right. Now, the last one here is cash flow index. Now, this is kind of a new one. Not a lot of people talk about it, but this is a new one. You take the total balance that you owe and you divide it by the minimum monthly payment. And the lower the number, that indicates that that's where you should start, because that's the highest cash flow you're going to. Once you pay that off, you're going to free up more money every month in your budget than any other debt on the list. So let's say, for example, that you have a $5,000 loan and you're paying $200 a month on it. That's going to have a higher cash flow index, because as soon as you pay that off, now you have $200 that you can take and move it to the next loan, the next debt. And that's the key with the cash flow index. So one of the things that you have to remember, whether you choose the debt avalanche, the debt snowball, or the cash flow index, when you pay off one debt, take the amount of money you were putting towards that and move it to the next one, and to the next one, and to the next one. So every one of these strategies has kind of that snowball where it rolls to the next debt in kind of embedded in it, but you're doing it strategically based on what you're doing. So I would suggest doing a calculation to find out what the cash flow index is, doing a calculation to find out. I do it on a spreadsheet when I do it with my clients, where we can actually tell which one's for each of the strategies, which one is the first debt we should tackle. And then we discuss it, we talk about it, and then we switch it around. Once that one's done, we'll switch it around and see what's the next one. And if the cash flow index is the next one, that's what we do. If the debt avalanche is the next one, and the debt snowball is the next, we do it the next debt, that we just make sure that we're on track, and we strategize, and we kind of roll between these strategies depending on how things are working. There's also something right before bankruptcy. Bankruptcy, of course, is an option for somebody to get out of debt. I highly recommend you avoid bankruptcy as much as possible. It really wrecks your credit and just doesn't do good things for your credit. So there are some things that you can do before that, which is debt consolidation, debt settlement, and debt negotiation. Debt negotiation is real. It works. And you just got to be careful with the companies that you use and that you choose to use, because unfortunately, there's some companies out there that are not very honest. And so they're taking people's money and running. I personally have a relationship with a very good debt negotiation company. So if you're interested in learning more about debt negotiation, it's typically for somebody who has more than $10,000 in credit card debt, has a hardship, doesn't have the cash flow to really work on one of the other strategies, but still needs to get out of debt as soon as possible. Debt negotiation is a great opportunity. Hit me up at hello@financialselfreliance.net, and we'll talk about what are the best things for you to do there. I hope you got a lot out of this video. I hope you know some of the strategies now that you can pick to choose, and you don't have to stick with one. You can start with the snowball, move to the avalanche. The next one is the cash flow index. Maybe you do a little debt negotiation. Whatever you need to do, get out of debt as soon as possible. If you missed the last video I produced, go ahead and find it right here. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel up here, and check out this video up here that YouTube thinks you might like. Have a fantastic day.